Hey guys, Philip here. Today I'm playing Space Engineers while listening to the Future of Humanity podcast by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Enjoy.
Neil,
Tweeting at Chuck Nice Comic.
that is correct, sir.
As always. Good to have you on the show.
Good to be here.
Do you know what this topic is today? There's probably no more important topic we've ever addressed than this topic.
Oh.
The future of humanity.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is.
The future of humanity.
And we are featuring my interview with the one and the only Elon Musk.
A man who is contributing to the future of humanity.
He's not contributing to it. He is the. It's not something that everybody else is doing and then they come in on it. No. He's making it. Okay.
Okay.
And sometimes he's referred to as the real life Iron Man, Tony Stark. I have to agree with that, actually. And he's the founder of PayPal. It's an internet company. He's a founder of SpaceX, a rocket company. He's founder of Tesla Motors, an electric car company. And he's chairman of Solar City, a solar energy company.
He is the real Tony Stark.
There you go. And I thought, I mean, I don't love you, but I thought I should bring in some help on this one.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Another man who...
Yeah. There's someone else in my life.
Now this is awkward.
It's not that awkward.
Oh, here he is. Bill Nye.
Over here biting my lip. Is Dr. Tyson going to introduce me? Should I say anything?
No, we'll just talk about you.
We're talking about Elon Musk, who is
Bill,
a heck of a guy.
Yeah, good to have you here because you've got some serious engineering background. And so a lot of the show, we're going to talk about engineering the future of our civilization.
Yeah.
And I can make
Civilization
stuff
can
up,
dream.
but I'd rather you say what real stuff. And plus you're writing a book on sustainability.
Climate change and doing more with less.
Do you know what it's going to be called?
Unbounded.
Unbounded. Ooh.
Nice.
And I want to
Subtitle-
cultivate. Go ahead.
Subtitle, you're a frickin' idiot if you don't believe in climate change.
Okay, is that what it is?
Well, that might as well be. So it is an extraordinary time. I mean, we're talking about Elon Musk and his vision for the future of humanity. But it's an extraordinary time. As we record this, the state of Florida just forbade, would not allow state officials to use the phrase climate change.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Or sea level rise.
Or sea level, and they're gonna. So what's gonna happen? The states of Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama are going to build fences like we have in Texas to keep the Floridians, both the Seminoles and the.
No, Chuck, I think
no disrespect to anybody who lives in Florida, Georgia, or Alabama, but I got a feeling it's going to be a chain link fence too. Let's keep this water out.
Well, let's find out. Let's get to the bottom of what created Elon Musk. I wanted to find out. You know, where did he come from? Where did he grow up? I didn't know anything about the man. Let's find out. Elon, what egg hatched you into this world? Where were you before you?
Well, I was born in South Africa.
Born in South Africa, and you come to America and make $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect to make $1 billion, I suppose. I mean, I grew up in South Africa, honestly seeing a lot of the same TV and movies and reading comic books, and it really didn't feel all that different from, say, Southern California, honestly.
So you had a kind of baptism into American pop culture at the time.
Yeah. I mean, I ate a lot of hamburgers and went to steakhouses and read like every comic book, you know. So my father brought me on a trip to the United States when I think I was about 10. I remember it was a really awesome experience because the hotels all had arcades. So my number one thing was when we went to a new hotel or motel or whatever it is, go to the arcades. And so they had
Forget any other services. Forget whether they had bed bugs. You're looking for arcade games.
Yeah.
What did video games do for you?
I mean, they're incredibly engaging, and they made me want to learn how to program computers. Because then I thought, well, I could make my own games, and then I could also... I wanted to see how the games work. Like, how did you create a video game? That's what led me to learn how to program computers.
So you became a programmer.
Yeah, so I had one of the first video game consoles. It didn't even have cartridges. It had like 4 games that you could play, and you could like pick one of the 4 games you could play. That was it. And then it went from there to the original Atari, and then television. And then I was in a store and saw a Commodore VIC-20. And I was like, holy crow, you can actually have a computer and make your own games. I thought this was just one of the most incredible things possible. Took all of my saved allowance and then hounded my father until we got the Commodore VIC-20. And then it came with this manual on how to program in BASIC, which I sort of spent all night, several days in a row, just absorbing that. And
On your own. No one forced you.
No, I would never.
This was self-motivated. I got to know this. This is good for me.
I must have been like 9 or 10 or something.
So you were fluent in BASIC at age 9 or 10.
Yeah. I kind of got OCD on the thing. Maybe it's not technically OCD, but I certainly got obsessive. Let me put that, at least the O part.
So programming is
Nothing
power.
else.
You get to control something.
Yeah, you can construct a little universe. And when you first do it, you're like, wow, this is incredible. You can actually make things happen. Like you type these commands and then something happens on the screen. That's pretty amazing.
So there is hope for all the parents who have middle school children who are lost in their video game.
Absolutely.
They too can be a billionaire.
I'm sorry, what I was just playing.
Bill, we're over here. Put the video game down.
Put your PS Vita down. Yeah, you know, actually, that's my son is a video game crazed ball.
How old is he?
He's 9.
He's 9. Yeah, it doesn't get better.
Doesn't get better.
Right.
But his favorite game is something called Minecraft.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it.
Oh, well.
However, I started watching him play this, and I went, you know what? This isn't bad. This guy's learning how to create his own universe. It's very imagination driven. And now he wants to learn how to code.
We love the guy.
It could go diabolical if he wants to create his own universe. I just want you to know.
It's not as easy as it sounds. On the radio, create your own universe. Hey, great.
So just a quick resume of Elon Musk. So, in 1999, he founded the company that would become PayPal.
Wow.
And then sold it to eBay. And he ran off with $180 million in it, and he was 32 years old. And so...
How did he make a living between university and 32?
Well, there's more of this interview that we will find out. But I don't know. He was like making companies and selling them, and then
The way you
moving
do.
on. Yeah. Of course, that's how you do it. Let's find out.
That's hard.
So what I wanted to know was, while he was in college, what was he thinking about? You know, most of us in college, you want to major, get a job when you come out. Let's find out what he was thinking about.
When I was in college, I sort of thought, well, what are the things that are most going to affect the future of humanity? And electric cars, solar power, essentially sustainable.
Most people are
consumption.
thinking, I just want a job when I get out. And you're trying to reshape humanity as an undergraduate.
I mean, in America, it's pretty easy to keep yourself alive. So, I mean, my threshold for existing is pretty low. I mean, I figured I could be in some dingy apartment with my computer and be okay and not starve. In fact, when I first came to North America, I was in Canada when I was 17. And just to sort of see what it takes to live, I try to live on $1 a day, which I was able to do.
Wow.
You sort of just buy food in bulk at the supermarket.
Rice and beans and...
Yeah, I went more for the hot dogs.
Hot dogs, okay.
Hot dogs and oranges. But you do get really tired of hot dogs and oranges after a while. And we can also pasta and a green pepper and a big thing of sauce, and that can go pretty far too. So I was like, okay, if I can live for $1 a day, then at least from a food cost standpoint, well, it's pretty easy to earn like $30 in a month, So,
yeah, I would think.
So it'll probably be okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that allowed you to not have to worry about money.
Yeah,
because you did the experiment.
Yeah, I did the experiment, exactly.
So this was an important psychological, philosophical anchor for you. Not to put words in your mouth, but that's a starting point to launch anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now you've got a baseline, a life baseline from which to go new places, intellectually, psychologically, financially. So what came first? Thoughts of an electric car or thoughts of space?
When you're starting out in college, like in your freshman, sophomore year, you have these sort of sophomoric philosophical wonderings. And I try to think of, what are the things that seem to me would most affect the future of humanity? There were really 5 things, 3 of which I thought would be interesting to be involved in. The 3 that I thought would definitely be positive would be the internet, sustainable energy, both production and consumption, and space exploration, more specifically, the extension of life beyond Earth on a permanent basis. And then, although I never thought I'd actually be involved in that. That was really something I thought that was important in the abstract, but not something I thought I would ever have an opportunity to be involved in. And then The fourth one was artificial intelligence, and the fifth one was rewriting human genetics. These were just the 5 things that I thought would most affect the future of humanity.
So, Chuck, did you want to change humanity when you went to college?
I didn't even want to change my underwear when I was in college. Are you kidding me?
Bill, you engineer man, do you agree with this list?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool list.
That's a cool list.
I would have included educating women and girls, raising the standard of living of women and girls so that the human population of the world will slowly become more manageable.
A greater tapping the lost intellectual capital.
That's right.
Among those who have been disenfranchised from it.
Or never franchised.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
just
never franchised in the first place.
Pre-franchise.
Which is, I love when you say that because it's basically when women are educated, they don't have as many babies.
That's it.
That's all there is to it.
The babies they have are more loved and better cared for.
And so that's where the burgeoning of society happens, with mom being a happier, healthier person, more educated, end up with better educated kids, end up with a better world.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Furthermore, the woman has a higher quality of life. She has a better job. She's happier, which just makes everybody happy.
So Elon, after he sold PayPal, and had a bazillion.
See, now that's where I stop.
You be done. You got
That was a mistake you made.
That's where I'm just.
You got a couple $100 million.
$180 million.
You're good. You're good.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not that kind of guy, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Push.
And so what he wanted to do, he wanted to go into space. Wow. Let's find out how that got started.
When I started out, my goal was to do a philanthropic mission with the intent of increasing NASA's budget. That was my goal. I was confused as to why we'd not yet sent a person to Mars. It seemed like this was obviously the goal after the moon, and we'd not made progress on that. And when it became clear that PayPal was going to get sold, a friend of mine asked me what I'm going to do next. And I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'm always curious about what's going on with space and why have we made progress. I just wonder when we're going to send a person to Mars. So I went on the NASA website and I couldn't find a date. I was like, well, maybe it's here somewhere and I just can't find it.
The date that NASA wants to land on Mars.
Yeah, there's got to be some schedule or something.
We're looking for that.
Game plan, or it's this date, even if it's far in the future, and it was not to be found anywhere. And anyways, I started learning about that back history, and I thought, well, okay, maybe there's something that I can do to send a small mission to the surface of Mars that would get the public excited. And as a result of that public excitement, NASA's budget would be increased, and we could resume the process of sending people to Mars. Essentially,
So you thought you can do that with your lousy $1 billion?
no, I didn't have $1 billion at that time.
Okay.
I had about 180 million, still a lot. And I figured, well, maybe I could spend half of that on a mission to Mars. So I spent a fair bit of time investigating the space industry and eventually decided on this idea of sending a small greenhouse to the surface of Mars. And we called it the Mars Oasis mission. And so you'd have seeds in dehydrated gel. It would land, you'd hydrate the gel upon landing, and you'd have this great shot of green plants on a red background, and the public responds to precedents and superlatives. So this would be the first life on another planet, the furthest that life's ever traveled, as far as we know. And
That's how you get a headline.
yeah, exactly. It's got to be something new or something superlative. And I thought, well, okay, and that would maybe reinvigorate excitement, and the result would be NASA's budget gets increased. So the whole goal in the beginning was just, how do we get more money for NASA? But after spending a fair bit of time on this, I came to the conclusion that I was actually incorrect. My initial assumption was wrong, because I thought that where there's a will, there's a way, and that we just sort of lost our will. But that's false. There's plenty of will. People needed to believe that there was a way, and a way that would not bankrupt the country or mean that they would have to sacrifice something of critical importance like healthcare. So it became clear that the space transport problem had to be solved. Unless there was a dramatic improvement in the cost of space transport, then none of it would matter.
So in your first successful launch, what was the cost per pound to orbit?
About $6,000.
$6,000. Okay, that's an improvement.
Yeah, not bad.
Not $100 a pound.
No. To get to $100 a pound, you need a big rocket that's fully reusable.
Are you there yet?
No. We're making progress, though. It's been 12 years. So far, we've not recovered a stage. but I think we'll recover a stage within the next year and be able to reflight.
Is there a date on your website where someone can say, he's going to land on
Touché.
Mars?
Good point.
That sounds like a no.
Well, I mean, I've said it publicly many times, although maybe we should put something on the website, which is that I think we've got a decent shot of being able to send a person to Mars in about 11 or 12 years.
So, Bill, what is he going to do this?
To reuse a stage?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
and get the cost down. And,
Yeah.
and,
Well, the cost down to
wait, who's going to get us to Mars? Elon Musk or NASA?
So let us keep in mind,
Please.
that NASA pays SpaceX
Okay.
about $2 billion so far.
Okay.
So SpaceX is now a contractor for NASA.
Okay.
which
So
is
our
not a
tax
bad
money
thing.
is going to
Yeah, that's a good thing.
to SpaceX. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is this vehicle that's going to get us to Mars?
So there's a couple of innovations, just let's say 3 innovations that I've seen with my own eyes, which must hide another 100,000 innovations that are very much more subtle. First thing is all the same engines. First stage, second stage, how many stages? It's the same engine.
Okay.
So why didn't somebody else do that? It's a good question.
Yeah, everything was a one-off in the past.
Yeah. Well, or a 5-off.
Okay.
Saturn 5-off.
Uh-huh.
And so then the other thing is, let's see if we can reuse a stage.
Right.
And this is his thing. It almost worked the other day. He tried to the company tried to land on a barge just east of Cape Canaveral, and it landed on the barge just a little faster than anybody wanted because it ran out of fuel to slow itself down.
Okay.
But
You
that
need
looks
fuel
like,
to get faster, and if you're going fast, you generally need fuel to slow down.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to aero brake or something.
Yeah, well, coming through the atmosphere after launch, it's and the thing is not shaped for aero braking, really, but it is shaped for retro rocketing, if I
Okay.
can coin the verb.
There you go.
But then the fundamental thing, you guys, when NASA was created, I believe, Dr. Tyson, on the year of your birth, just within a week or so, yeah.
Same week.
Yeah.
Same damn week. I come out of my mother, and NASA comes out of
Coincidence?
out of Congress.
Perhaps. Anyway, the idea was to keep the thing.
I feel NASA's pain. I was the same
sustain
age.
it. They put NASA centers all over the U.S. So when they went to manufacture rockets, they put pieces of the rocket all over the U.S. Solid things are made over here. The liquid things are made over here. They're tested over there. They get on train cars and go down there. Just right there. Just the expression, Houston, we have a problem. Why isn't it Florida, we have a problem? Cape Canaveral, we have a problem.
Chuck, did
Orlando,
you know
we have a problem.
that the instant the spacecraft clears the gantry, in that instant, full control transfers to Houston.
I mean,
If there's a human being on board.
1,000
Right.
nautical miles away.
Right. All the whole countdown and everything, or go to launch, all of that is Cape Canaveral.
But it's
And then
SpaceX.
the moment it takes,
The moment it passes the thing,
then it's like, all right, guys, we'll take it from here.
yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Thanks a lot, guys, for your work.
But anyway, it's SpaceX. It's just south of Los Angeles International Airport. Train car drives up, full of stainless steel, full of titanium, full of let's make rocket-anium parts. And it comes off the train car, they shape it and do their own thing.
I want
their own-
rocketanium. I want some of that.
Yeah, well, you can get it. 6061 T6 aluminum, T7, sometimes tempered 7 aluminum. So then it comes down. They make the tank. They attach the plumbing. They comes over here. There's a bunch of electronics. They attach that. They vacuum test it over here. Blah blah blah. Then it goes back on the train car to either Cape Canaveral, close to the equator as the U.S. can get, or up to Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is north of
As
there.
a continental U.S., because
In the
Hawaii is
continental.
closer.
Yeah, Hawaii's closer, but that's not on a train car.
Yeah, it's not on a train car.
Extraordinary train car. I mean.
Yeah.
And so
Hover train.
the aqua train, but the
Wait, Bill. So I get that. What I
well,
want
this
to
is
know
a fundamental lowering of cost.
Okay.
Huge reduction in cost.
is that low enough to go to Mars like everybody says? He wants to go to Mars. He still wants to go to Mars.
Well, I would like to go to Mars, but I want to come back, and I don't want to go to Mars to live. I think that is not all the way thought through, in my opinion.
We choose to go to Mars.
That's right.
Because it's not easy.
Well, that's right.
no.
We do
He
these things
would have said, we
because
choose to
they're
go to Mars
hard.
because it will kill you.
Right.
It's so, yeah. I mean, it's really.
Well, it's just
Instead,
really
I choose
hostile
to eat a Mars
place.
bar.
Also, for your consideration, do love the Mars bar. For your consideration, we can talk about this after the break, but Elon Musk is a native of South Africa. South Africa colonized by Dutch people. I am a descendant from people from Northern and Central Europe. You guys are much more recently descended from Africa, but we have this human tradition of just spreading out. We don't like it here, we're going to go over there. We'll just keep spreading.
Which means, of course, you're a descendant of Africans as well.
Oh, yes,
Just
we're
to
all
make that
descendants
clear.
of Africa. Yeah,
You have arbitrarily selected.
Yeah, I say more recent descent.
Yeah,
Went
that
with
was
more
arbitrary.
recent,
Let the record show that was a completely arbitrary line that you drew. Just,
but arbitrary, but historically not insignificant.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm just.
yeah. So anyway, humankind has spread into
You outnumbered
Mesopotamia,
at this table.
across Eurasia. The Ice Age has the snow froze up. You
Yep.
just keep going in North America,
Right.
spearing mammals, partying.
It's what we do.
And so it's not clear that you will be able to leave the Earth and go live on Mars.
So you are skeptical of this, but you would not interfere with the dream state. I
However,
presume.
we do not want to violate in Star Trekian terms.
The Prime Directive,
Just so, Doctor.
which is.
We don't want to mess up the ecosystem on Mars. If there is an ecosystem.
We have no qualms messing up our own damn ecosystem.
Well, that doesn't make it a good thing.
I know,
mean,
but
and
why should Mars be the sacred place
Okay.
and not our own?
it's a rule.
We're pooping in our own backyard.
It's an arbitrary, but it's not arbitrary. It's a reasonable rule. Mm-hmm. We can poop there after we determine whether or not there's something alive.
Mars.
After
It's
we-
nothing more than Earth's toilet.
There are people that even in studio, you are in bow tie. Let the record show.
Yeah, well, what you see is what you get.
Maybe he's like the guy in Terminator 2, where the
Just a polymetal.
yeah, no, but the polymetal, but his police uniform.
Yes, right.
was part of.
was
is his-
polymetal.
That is the metal.
That's
right?
how I roll.
So maybe Bill and the bow tie.
But watch out! I
polymetal.
can turn my arm into a giant saber sword, wacky thing of death thing, which is shiny.
We're talking about the future of humanity. We're featuring my interview with Elon
And
Musk.
that does not feature polymetal.
No, it does not yet.
Yet.
Not
Yet. And I snared that interview when I visited him at SpaceX headquarters, which is, what's the name of that town that he's in? Is in
Crenshaw, Hawthorne.
Hawthorne, California, near Los Angeles.
Okay, New Yorker.
Air-
Where is it? Hawthorne.
Hawthorne. Hawthorne.
Oh, by the stars.
Fine. So Bill, if we're going to go to Mars, do you see engineering challenges to that, or is
Oh,
it just,
no, piece
or
of
is it
cake.
only? No. Wait. No, I'm going to. This is a very serious question.
Yeah.
Engineers love a challenge, so don't tell me. Don't play that with me. A, B.
Oh, bring it on.
Don't.
say bring it on.
Don't even. So my question is it just a matter of money, or even if I gave you as much money as you want, you might not be able to solve some of the engineering problems?
No, we can solve the problem.
Snap.
We can solve.
That's
I'll
what I
show you.
figured.
Yeah, because we land a rover from a freaking rocket crane.
Right.
We can solve the problems.
Right.
But as far as this colony idea, everybody,
Okay.
there's no liquid water as such. Oh, well, Mars was once very wet and we found evidence of ice. All good. But it's not like there's a river there.
Right.
Okay. Then,
If there is, it's underground and no one has found it yet.
Okay, and let me go on to say, it's on this summer day at the equator, it's 20 below. Okay, yeah, you can get, what is it everybody wearing this year? Canada Arctic Crew. That was a Goose Down, Canada
Okay.
Goose Down brand jacket. All very good. That's dead. That's when things are really good. That's all you got on.
That's midsummer attire.
But the
right?
main thing I think you would pick up on right away, there's no air. You would suffocate in a second.
Well, there's air, but there's no oxygen in the air.
Well, so you just have to make all that
Well,
stuff once
so
you get
there
there.
is-
Thank you, Chuck.
but Neil,
at least somebody's thinking about the
I
future
gotta
here.
stop you there.
Bill, quiet
there
for a
is
minute.
oxygen
Chuck.
in the air, but it's carbon dioxide. You
No,
have to
it's-
separate it from the carbon.
Carbon dioxide, CO2, is one of the most tightly bound molecules ever made.
I mean, you can do it. but you got to put in the energy.
You got to put in the energy.
And then
It's
you're
gonna
going
take
to
a
be
lot.
living, everybody, you're going to be living in a submarine.
But just to be clear, so you have to get that energy from somewhere.
Right.
Right? So just there's no such thing as a free lunch.
And you're 1.5 times the distance that we are from the sun. So your solar energy, if you wanted to run solar panels, was 15 squared. So it's one and a quarter.
Two and a quarter times more.
Less.
Less.
It's less
So now-
sunlight.
No, you need
Okay.
2 and a quarter times more solar panels
Yeah,
to
2 and a
equal
quarter, yeah.
Right.
In
Just
light of
doing
this
one order.
conversation, why do we want to go there?
What? Someone
Well,
remind
because
me?
I'll tell you why I want
Why?
to go there. Well, it is the next logical place to look for
I like
things.
Chuck getting high pitch on us. Give me that again, Chuck.
Chuck, the reason you want to go there is because you're going to explore. And when you explore, two things happen. Those two things, Doc, Chuck,
One.
you will make discoveries.
Okay,
you
you'll
will
learn
find something you never found before.
All right.
But the other thing is you will have an adventure. You will have an adventure. It will engage you like nothing else, whether it's your backyard, the video game, or the surface of Mars. Now,
You might die, but it'll be an
well,
adventure.
but what we want to do as an engineer, and this is what astronauts say, part of their pride as being astronauts is coming back. That's like landing the airplane is part of a pilot's pride. I mean, ejecting and letting the $350 million fighter plane explode is kind of cool on video,
Yeah.
but it's not really your goal as a pilot or an astronaut. So, if we were to go there with a human, we would be able to make discoveries at an extraordinary rate. It's estimated 10,000 times faster than our best robot spacecraft.
Right now. But if the day comes when we have a 10,000 times better robot, you'd still probably want to explore.
Still want to send a human
Okay,
there.
so then
And
that's
so here's the thing. If we found evidence of life, fossilized bacterial mats, or cooler yet, something still alive, some Mars probe, then the question would be, and I want to know, do those Mars probes have DNA like you and I do, or are they a whole nother of notherness?
Mars probe. Is that
That's a Martian
Mars
microbe.
probe. I
It's a
don't know.
Martian microbe.
Mars probe?
And then if they have DNA and they're so much like us, does that mean Mars was hit by an impactor, went off into space, and you and I are descendant of Martians?
That we'd all be Martians. Okay, so he's trying to change humanity by reinventing space exploration. I get that. But he's also worried about problems on Earth. Okay, that's okay.
Well, as
Is
so
he
many
allowed?
of us are.
Is he allowed?
I say bring it on.
Okay, so he's co-founder of Tesla,
Yeah.
the electric car company.
That car is just sex with wheels on it.
Very cool. He's also sex with wheels.
It's fantastic.
He's also chairman of Solar City. Let's hear how he just got into this.
From a terrestrial standpoint, the biggest problem we need to solve on Earth this century is sustainable production and consumption of energy. This really is quite a serious problem. People really should take this quite seriously. Even if you put the environmental consequences of dramatically changing the chemical composition of the oceans and atmosphere aside, we will eventually run out of oil.
Holding that aside.
Well, if we don't find a solution to burning oil for transport, and we then run out of oil, the economy will collapse and civilization will come to an end, or as we know it.
With or without global warming.
Yeah, with all that work, exactly. I mean, and so if we know that we have to ultimately get off oil no matter what, we know that that is an inescapable outcome. It's simply a question of when, not if. Then why would you run this crazy experiment of changing the chemical composition of the atmosphere and oceans by adding enormous amounts of CO2 that have been buried since the Precambrian era? That's crazy. That is the dumbest experiment in history by far.
I mean, promise it's not
Can
even
you think of a dumber experiment? I honestly cannot. What good could possibly come of it?
So therefore, we need another solution here. But of course, electric cars still uses coal,
That's why you need sustainable power production, like solar and wind.
which can still charge your car.
Yes.
Bill,
Neil.
do you still have your house in California?
Yes.
In Studio City?
Yes.
I've been there.
Yes.
Well, you're like a native. You're a New Yorker now, not native, but you live in New
Yes,
York.
I'm loving it.
Somebody else is living in your house.
Yeah, I
that's
have
a
house
crazy
sitters.
house that you have there.
It's cool.
It's completely alive with self-generated electricity.
Well, it's got 4
that's-
kilowatts of solar.
That's great.
which is more than enough for 10 months of the year, maybe 10 and a half months of the year. And I would have more, but my neighbor's house shadows my panels.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your neighbor's stealing your electricity.
Well, she's stealing sunlight.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
That is
right?
the same
She
thing.
travels a lot, and I thought maybe while she was out of town, I could just cut off this one part of the second story. Easier to ask forgiveness than permission.
Okay,
right?
Bill, but
Sorry.
there's tons of oil still in reserve that is yet to be drilled, or is
Here's the bad news.
Okay, but-
we'll never run out of fossil fuels.
Oh.
That is the bad news.
That's terrible.
It really is, because burning it is just the worst thing for all of us.
so.
in the
Do you have a
medium
plan?
term.
What's your plan?
So the plan is
Because as long as oil is cheap and it's cheaper than my solar panels, how do you expect people to?
so
Yeah, if you're rich,
So
you can buy the car that saves gas.
so bear in mind the
that
reason
costs you more than the car that doesn't save
well,
gas.
but the
The sex
reason
on wheels.
The sex on wheels car.
the reason you want a sex on wheels electric car is
Costing
because,
how much?
$100,000.
100,000. Yeah, yeah.
Right now.
Everybody's got 100,000.
Well,
yeah.
deep breath.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Deep
Let me
breath.
get to my mattress.
Deep breath. It's 95% efficient or 93% efficient, whereas a gas-powered car, constrained by the second law of thermodynamics, is at best 28%, 30%. So you're squandering energy you just can't get back when you try to get it out of heat at low temperature differences. So, with that said, there is it's been estimated that we could save about 30% of the energy we use through conservation. We can have electric cars, we can improve transportation systems, to be sure. But the big thing, you guys, as we say about climate change, if you are opposed to government regulation now, you don't like governments now, just wait till stuff gets bad. Just wait till Floridians have to abandon their homes and Miami's half underwater, and then there's going
Okay,
to be
but really at
regulation.
the
And I'll
bottom
give
of
you an
this-
example of this. World War II. Regulation happened like crazy, and everybody was very proud of it. Want to create the next great generation.
So, what I neglected to mention here, and I think you should have mentioned too, was if you can start out with a $100,000 car because it's a test of concept, people like it, wealthy can buy it. But the real test is, can you make an electric car that's competitive in price to...
Absolutely.
And I'm told there's a Tesla Model 3 expected to come out, and that's priced at $35,000?
Yeah, and
Okay.
so I drove a Nissan Leaf for 3 years.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
okay.
about that same price.
About that same price. So that there you have...
I mean, I did other stuff. I went to sleep. I had meals, and so I didn't just drive for
But
3
Bill,
years.
what I really want is the flying car.
The flying car is a real tough problem.
It is, but I think Elon cured me of my urges to find a flying car.
Oh,
Well,
Yeah,
just wait till everybody's in traffic flying cars.
No. He told me what the deal is with flying cars.
Wing loading?
Let's find out. Of course, what we all really want are flying cars.
Do you?
Yeah.
Actually, let me ask you. So, are you sure you want a flying car?
No, but it looks
Okay.
cool.
It does look cool. I mean, whenever you see sort of cities in like some futuristic concept, they always throw the flying car in there. And
You can't tell me you never thought of it.
no, I thought a lot about it.
Yeah, okay.
And there's some people I know that are working on flying cars or flying personal transport devices, if you will.
Hoverboards.
There are people working on hoverboards. But I mean, I sort of wonder.
After the interview, you can show me your hoverboard room. Okay.
I know somebody's working on a hoverboard.
I won't tell anybody. The microphone is on mute now, so
Okay.
you can tell.
Just between us. It's awesome. I'm debating, like, should there be flying cars or shouldn't there be flying cars? I'm of two minds on that, because if there are flying cars, then, well, obviously you have added this additional dimension where now a car could potentially fall on your head and will be susceptible to weather. And of course you'd have to have a flying car where it would be like an autopilot, because I mean, otherwise, forget it.
You don't want people navigating.
Yeah, it's got to be.
flying.
It's got to be autopilot. But even in an autopilot scenario, and even if you've got redundant motors and blades, you're still gone from near zero chance of something falling on your head to something greater than that. And there's also a noise challenge. So I sort of
We don't know how
wonder-
to fly quietly.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll wait it out some longer.
Something that I do think would definitely help a lot in cities is more tunnels. Essentially, with a flying car, you're talking about going 3D. And there's a fundamental flaw with cities where you've got dense office buildings and apartment buildings and duplexes, and they're operating on 3 dimensions, but then you go to the street and suddenly you're 2-dimensional.
Because it's a surface.
Yeah,
This is how New York City solved this with the subway, going
Right.
underneath multiple layers of subway.
Right.
So we are actually traveling in 3 dimensions, but below the ground rather
Yes.
than in the air.
But I think if you were to extrapolate that to cars and have more car tunnels, then you would alleviate congestion completely.
And you wouldn't need the flying car.
You would not need a flying car in that case. And it would always work even if the weather's bad. And
It would never ice up.
It would never ice up, and it would not fall on your head. So
We're going to get started on that right away.
I think those sound like the words of a man who owns a car company. That's all I'm saying.
A non-flying car
Yeah,
company.
if I had a company that made non-flying cars, I probably wouldn't want to have a flying car.
You would say build more roads.
Exactly. Build
No,
more
he's got
roads
a
and
point.
tunnels.
You don't want a car falling on your head. Plus, a point that came out in my conversation with it, but it didn't make the clip, was we have flying cars today. They're called helicopters.
Yeah.
And they're really noisy.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you want something as heavy as a car to levitate, it's going to be making some noise
Well, it's also going to use a lot of energy.
and a lot of energy.
Well, that's because, in the word of another physicist I know who flies his own plane, he said helicopters don't fly as much as they beat the air into submission.
Who said this?
Man, that's
Who said that? It's true.
It's true.
It's completely
Well,
there.
the air doesn't submit; it just flows down, having enough momentum to hold the helicopter up. And now, Elon Musk brings up another good point.
What?
When we have humans operating the Tysonic flying car, which competes with the Chuck
Tysonic.
Nice subterranean vehicle, who's going to drive the thing without all kinds of trouble? And so, it always fascinates me when you look at highways from the air when you're in an airplane or a helicopter. It looks so orderly.
Yes.
It really does. Cars they merge, they go along very cool, but you're using a human brain. This thing is capable of art and radio shows and rocket companies. You're using this brain to do nothing but operate this car on this right-of-way.
Stay in a straight line, stay in a straight line, stay in a straight line.
Change
stay in
lanes,
a
look
straight
over your
line.
shoulder, look over, head check. Whoa, head check. And so this is why this seems like a real opportunity.
Well,
to
my favorite
improve
bumper
things.
stickers ever: caution, driver applying makeup. That's my favorite.
I've seen it.
I see
I've
you've
seen
driven
it.
behind me.
No, is that right, Chuck?
That's a lot of info.
Okay, so
Chuck.
you don't want
A lot of
drivers.
information, Chuck.
You don't want humans driving cars. You want driverless cars.
Yeah, at a very high level reliability. Now, I used to work at Boeing, and you get a triple.
You worked on
redundant-
the 747.
747, a little bit 727, 3757, but
Yeah.
what you want
That's
is
the lingo, Chuck.
I know.
Oh, that's how you-
He's showing that off now.
Sound like you were giving me your number.
these are all planes.
Everyone from Boeing has a 777 in it.
Well, yeah, but the interesting point of interest: the 727, the 737, 757 have the same tube. The 717, which was the 707 KC-135, have the same tube. And so, where was I going? When it's triple redundant, autopilot, you can count on it. It's going to land the plane.
Gotcha.
But the problem with cars is not, you don't have nearly the traffic control that you have in airplane.
So who do you think is going to win this? Tesla, and with a driverless car perhaps coming out of their shop, or Google?
Well, Tesla makes cars.
Yeah.
Google makes software. You
Okay.
can't have one without the other to be driverless.
So this is like a chocolate and peanut butter thing.
Exactly.
Whoa.
You got your car in my software. You got your software in my car.
But wait, you're both right.
Chuck, I love setting you up.
But wait,
We're featuring my interview with Elon Musk. And just before the break, I teased you to tell you that we would be saving for this final segment
Yeah.
what he fears the most.
fears.
Now, if you're,
He's a confident guy.
He's a confident guy. And to quote Bill, if you've been scoring along with us, you may remember in our first segment, we listed the things he wanted to introduced to change humanity.
Right.
There's one thing he does not want to touch. Let's check it out.
I mean, I'm quite worried about artificial superintelligence these days. I think, and I've said this publicly, I think it's maybe something more dangerous than nuclear weapons. So we should be really careful about that. If there was a very deep digital superintelligence that was created that could go into rapid recursive self-improvement in a non-logarithmic way, then, that was...
And it's self-learning.
Yes. So, like, it just could reprogram itself to be smarter and iterate very quickly and do that 24 hours a day on millions of computers. Well,
that's all she wrote. That's
all she wrote.
Okay.
I mean, we will be like a pet Labrador if we're lucky. I have a
We'll
pet
be-
Labrador, by the way.
We'll be their pets.
It's like the friendliest creature. But
No, they'll domesticate us so that
Yes.
we will be
Exactly.
lap pets to them.
yes. I mean, or something strange is going to happen.
They'll keep the docile humans and get rid of the violent ones, and then
Yeah.
breed the docile humans.
Yeah, I mean, the utility function of the digital superintelligence is of stupendous importance.
Yeah.
What does it try to optimize? And we need to be really careful with saying, oh, well, how about human happiness? Because it may conclude that all unhappy humans should be terminated. And, that we should all just be captured and with dopamine and serotonin directly injected into our brains to maximize
Happiness.
because it's concluded that dopamine and serotonin are what cause happiness.
Therefore,
maximize them. I'm just saying we should exercise caution.
what do you think of that?
Wow.
So just to be clear, he's not talking about artificial intelligence.
Right.
He's talking about artificial superintelligence, the kind that can self-learn.
Okay, so 20% of the world's population of people does not have electricity. They've never made a phone call, not a cell phone call. They've never made a phone call. So when the superintelligence takes over Chicago or whatever, what are people in East Africa going to give a rip about? Okay,
Plus the
so you
superintelligence-
guys have managed to kill yourselves. Way to go. We're looking for some corn here. So I get it. But I think people have to keep in mind, computers are so reliable and they're so much part of our everyday life now. We take them for granted. But somebody is, literally or in a sense, shoveling the coal.
Okay.
What happens if you unplug the supercomputer intelligence thing?
It will.
Find a new source of energy.
No.
Because it has its own nuclear reactor.
The failure of that logic is the assumption that it would let you unplug it.
Right.
Yeah, okay, but how did it create that thing to keep it from...
I'm just saying. I'm with you
It
here.
seems like a solvable problem.
So I'm looking here. We have three levels of intelligence: artificial narrow intelligence. So it's
Okay.
computer doing one thing better than anything, is not getting anybody's way.
A calculator.
Calculate. Let
And
it do it.
one wins at Jeopardy.
And no, that'd be artificial general intelligence, which would be general intelligence, but it's not. It's not hell bent on taking over the world.
This is that IBM computer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes across. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one was that? Watson.
It's Watson. Okay.
Watson. So it's this super intelligence that scares him. And I kind of agree with you, Bill. You could at some point you just unplug the dude.
Yeah.
And
Well, I just think about the Colossus project, Forbin, the Colossus project. And so this is where the two superpowers on Earth have nuclear arsenals. They're controlled by computers, so they connect the two computers. And, trouble ensues, okay? And so you try to unplug it, but they have their own nuclear reactors that run them.
this is the movie War Games, like all over again. right?
Yeah. Well, it was before War Games. It was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
novel. And then a movie. But the deal is that running a nuclear power plant is not straightforward. It takes somebody shoveling the coal, or moving the stuff around in the waste
In the pile.
ponds. Yeah. The
So
rods.
there's also much ado about the singularity. Ray Kurzweil. I got to get him on Star Talk because I'm just not with him on this.
Well,
but I don't want to badmouth him unless he's sitting in front of me.
This is everybody. When I
so
do
he
a
can
college
badmouth me
talk,
back.
Okay.
Does this happen to you, Neil? When I do a college talk, somebody asks me about the singularity.
I know, and people
When
all
a computer
freak out.
is as smart as a human.
Right.
And
This would
it's
be
always plugged in and has no arms or legs
Right.
and does something.
right. Somehow, what is it going to do? It's going to chase you down the street? Like, what's it going to do?
Well, no, it's going to actually get the machines to do its bidding for it.
Yes, it'll
Like in
control
Terminator.
your
Like in
thermostat.
Terminator, right,
It will
that was-
control your thermostat and your self-driving car.
I'm cool with that. But this notion that somehow the world is fundamentally different before and after this
but from a
singularity.
historical standpoint, I could buy it. Like,
No, we'll be different, but we're not going to be. It's not. We're going to be running screaming out of the apartment. No, when machines took over our physical labor, did we say, "Oh my gosh, this is the crazy day"? No, it happened slowly, and we're fine.
Right.
Now we got people repairing machines. I don't have, so.
and there's still artisans carving the thing.
we got to
by
get
hand.
them on the show. I want to get them on the show, and then we'll give them a piece of our mind. But we can't leave people freaked out over the fate of the machines that we create and their capacity to turn us into domesticated pets. Let's find out if Elon has any positive thoughts about the future at all.
Thank God.
I'm quite optimistic about the future. I mean, I don't think we're about to enter a dark age. It could happen, but it's not, I think, not likely anytime soon.
Not
But
before you get to Mars.
hopefully not before it gets to Mars. But bear in mind that
And part of the act of trying to get to Mars is a force to keep us out of the dark ages.
I mean, there's always a chance that something calamitous could happen to Earth, either a natural man-made catastrophe. Certainly we see that in the fossil record. And we've invented all sorts of ways of doing ourselves in that the dinosaurs didn't have. And we haven't managed to solve the asteroid problem. So, therefore, our risk is higher, okay? I'm sure people realize this. If you haven't solved the problems that have caused the prior extinctions and you've added new ones, you've not improved the situation. And that's sort of where we are right now. And you know, there are people, there are some really smart people that are a lot more pessimistic than I am, like, you know, the Stephen Hawkings of the world and Martin Rees, the Royal Astronomer. They're all quite pessimistic. I'm a naturally optimistic person, but I do think that there's value in establishing life insurance, which, if life as we know it is on more than one planet, then the light of consciousness as we know it is likely preserved into the future for much longer.
Of consciousness is preserved. No, this is a beautiful talk. What?
That was his optimism?
What, Jack?
That was optimistic? Oh, you know, the thing that took out the dinosaurs, that's still a thing.
It is still a thing.
It's still a thing. And by the way, we'll probably take ourselves out before that.
And
but,
that's still a thing, too.
yeah, but you know what? I'm pretty optimistic.
No, here.
But you guys, back in the day, there were no humans when the ancient dinosaurs were taken out.
Yeah,
There's no evidence that the ancient dinosaurs had a space program.
at all. They didn't even have opposable thumbs, much less.
So it doesn't
Right.
seem like they did. And so we have that leg up. Also, they're going on 9 billion people. If you kill almost everybody through extraordinary means, somebody's going to leak through. Much more easy to leak through here on Earth than on Mars.
Here's what I'm
in
saying.
my
You want to
opinion.
become a multi-planet species, whatever effort that takes, I've said this before, it seems that it would be less effort to deflect the asteroid
Yeah.
than to terraform Mars and ship 1 billion people there.
Yeah,
I'm with
and-
you on that.
Deflect the damn asteroid and get on with
And,
life.
raise
If you have the
enough
power to
food.
terraform Mars, you have the power to fix Earth.
Yeah, and Martian atmosphere is getting scraped off all the time.
That's what I'm
by the solar
saying.
wind.
Listen,
everybody-
What
This
fears
is
you the
where-
most? What fears you the most? We got to wrap it up. What fears you the most?
the dark.
What that comes down to.
I think I've heard that. I've seen the bumper sticker. Movies don't tell me what wine to drink. I don't think I've ever seen that. Anyway,
So we're just chronicling the history of space exploration, and Russia, America, the Soviet Union. So you were a space baby, and so
Yeah.
What was were you hit by this like the way?
man, I grew up in Washington D.C., so my mother would drive
Okay,
us.
so professionally you cut your teeth in Seattle, but you're a Washington D.C. baby.
That's it.
I would have never guessed that about you.
I grew up in the city.
When I think of Chocolate City, I don't think of Bill Nye. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I know. I'm from the the little zone there. My people.
You got your people.
My people are in the Northwest. But I'll tell you what, before we get on to the Bravas, where I went, especially junior high school, all these kids are from all over the world. And because they're all diplomats.
Okay.
God, they could play soccer.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah, even back then, yeah, of course.
Maybe most especially back then, yeah.
So you grew up in the city.
Anyway, my mom would take me and my friends.
So you experienced, you're old enough to have remembered the 60s.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And you'd go see Alan Shepard waving from the back of a convertible, and it was this extraordinary optimism. That's what, when I look back, I mean, of course, putting a guy on the moon was cool, and I was on my knees for that, black and white television. That's easy for old, people of my age. Oh, I remember. Okay, but the deep thing that was important for me was the optimism. Mm-hmm. And that's what we all longed for.
You know what I wonder? If that optimism was magnified because of how much other sources of pessimism there was in the world. With the hot war in Vietnam, and the Cold War with the Soviet Union, and the Civil Rights Movement, and campus unrest, and protests. There was no place else to turn for anything optimistic.
But it was, those things are of a piece. I mean, they're all one thing in that things are changing. Mm-hmm. People.
Yeah, nobody likes change. No one in charge likes change.
Yeah, well, depends.
So you were optimistic. So how optimistic were you? What did you think the 1970s would bring when you're thinking about the 1960s?
Better cars, better space food sticks. Just better. Well, I'm trying to think of things. Better television. Oh, it was a big deal. I saw the very first Super Bowl at the neighbor's house, and he
Super Bowl I.
Yes, and it was on a color television.
Ooh,
and
so the grass was all green and
the
stuff.
corners were cut. The television screen was not rectangular the way you think of a television screen today. And not that that's the good old days. Oh, no.
It was cut, they were rounded. The corners were rounded, yeah.
And so it was, you expected that things would get just better. Right. Everything would be better. The food would be better.
Everything.
The wine, I presume, would be better.
Everything.
Dr. Pepper would be better.
So this is the manifestation of this future view.
Yes, that you could do this, and that I was...
Did it influence what you majored in?
Yeah, so I was about to say, what I was encouraged to work in math and science. And maybe I have an aptitude for it, but I was rewarded for it. Like if you did well in math, you were going to be an astronaut, and that was something you were going to do.
You want to be an astronaut?
I applied 4 times. But after
what the hell's their problem?
Well, after Krista McCullough got killed, I don't think a guy like me was going to fly. Plus, nowadays.
Beloved educators.
Yeah.
You'd want to start killing them off.
Yeah. I mean, it was a drag. I mean, it was...
Yeah, but you would have had a high school named after you by now.
Well, not really. About getting anything named after me, Neil,
yeah.
Maybe you're the... I just soon not... I'd like to wait till I'm dead.
Okay.
And there's no hurry on that. I know it's coming. I've seen billions of people.
Good data on this one.
Yeah, but I have no hurry. So, with that said, to recapture that optimism, or to have a new optimistic view, space exploration is an ideal thing for us to spend tax dollars on, our intellect and treasure. Now, we have climate change as the most serious problem facing humankind, that's for sure. If we were talking about climate change in the same way we were talking about Ferguson, Missouri, I mean, it would just get done. It would just get done, and people would feel good about it, and they'd be optimistic about the future instead of hand-wringing and whining. And furthermore, the other thing, as a guy who grew up in the United States, it had this U.S. feature.
Imprint.
Yeah, and NASA is the best brand the United States has. You go anywhere in the world, people recognize... People
hate the United States and love NASA.
Yeah.
It's an interesting...
And it's also not a military endeavor. It's missiles and stuff, but it's not for that. It's for exploration. Mm-hmm. Let's see what's out there. Let's learn more about the cosmos and our place within it. Mm-hmm. And so it's a good investment for any country at any space agency to...
But how do you justify it to a country that can't still barely feed their people?
Well, you have to do everything.
Yeah, you do everything. Okay, so some balance. It's a budget balance.
Yeah, and so I say this, if it's the choice is, do we pay teachers or build a new baseball stadium? The answer is, I hope, for everybody, you pay teachers. But no, the challenge for a politician, the reason people hire you to vote for you, is so you'll figure out how to do everything.
Yeah, at the right balance.
At the right balance.
Right. I remember seeing critiques of the Apollo era where people saying, if we took that money and built schools, we'll have this many more schools. And I thought to myself, the Apollo in its day was like 4% of the U.S. budget.
4, not 0.4, which is what it is now.
Full up 4%. And so that's a lot, no doubt about it. But to walk past the 96% of the rest of the budget and say, use this 4% to build schools, did you really analyze what you just walked past to make that?
Is that what you did? Punk?
Punk?
Yeah. So this is where
so Bill, so you are who you are because of who we were then.
Absolutely. Oh man. Yeah. Absolutely.
Bill, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me. Let's change the world.
Change the world. I quoted you recently. I said, this moment I have to just quote Bill because no other set of words go here except change the world.
All right, and the next podcast is going to be Cosmic Queries.
This is Star Talk. We're doing a Cosmic Queries edition, and you know what that means. I got Chuck Nice as my co-host.
Right,
Chuck.
sir. What's happening, Neil?
All right.
How's it
All
going?
right. So this one, again, every now and then, there's the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, wow.
we pull out of the barrel all those that were solicited topically, but then a few fall through the cracks and others just come in randomly. And so this is just it's like a potpourri.
Yes.
I think in the past we might have called it a galactic gumbo.
No.
But we just don't have a good term for it.
How about we'll call this one Cosmic Cauldron.
Cosmic Cauldron?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
let's try that.
A little juxtaposition, tongue-in-cheek, a little witchcraft reference with science.
And the alliteration to boot.
That's right.
All right, so what do you have? I assume you have a Patreon question up front.
As always, we start with the Patreon patrons because they give us money.
Let's do this.
Yeah, this is David Hemsath from Patreon. He says, is there a hypothesis for the interaction of dark matter and a black hole? So,
Yeah, it's just because dark matter is dark and black hole is black. Don't mean all the black and the dark got to vote together. As far as we know, they are completely separate and distinct, as far as we know. And that actually, I'm not even saying very much there because we don't know what comprises dark matter. And as I've said many times, it'd be better termed dark gravity. It's something giving us gravity and we don't know what it is. Black holes give us gravity, but we know what a black hole is. So there's no obvious connection between the two at all. Wow. Not only theoretically, but observationally as well. So I got nothing for you there.
There doesn't seem to be anything there. There doesn't seem to be a there.
You're not in the dark matter there,
not
right?
In the dark matter there, yeah.
Right.
Well,
and if you want to find out what's in the black hole, you can go check it out and let me know.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Anyway, Julia Lyshik, Julia Lyshik from Patreon says this: I have an essay question for you guys.
An essay question?
That
means it's compare and contrast. Yeah, that's one of those.
There you go. Okay.
College essay
questions. What, in your opinion, is the best all-time depiction of aliens in a movie or on TV, and why?
Ooh. Love me that. Okay, so
that's so cool.
I've got the answer. 1958.
Wait a minute. With all the CGI that we have available right now,
that's the problem.
You go back to 1958?
Here you go. One of Steve McQueen's earliest films, if not his first film, The Blob.
Oh, snap, The Blob.
The Blob. Let me ask you. Wait, that could be any.
Oh my God, it's so scary!
That's any movie.
It's not! Snot is coming to get us. Ah! Something blew its nose on the earth. We're in trouble. Ah!
So that's why they were freaking out.
Snot! Oh my God, it's snot!
So the Blob, one of these, low budget B movies, I think they were called back then. In any case, what was intriguing about it is this thing didn't have a face, didn't have arms, legs, nose, mouth, shoulders, fingers, toes, head. Didn't have any of the things you normally would be putting on an alien, primarily because you have an actor in the alien costume. And so why would a creature from another planet with no DNA in common with life on Earth look more like us than we do compared to other life forms on Earth?
Right here on Earth.
Right here on Earth. So my argument is, what are two really different life forms? Humans and jellyfish and oak trees. Let's take those three, okay? That's quite the gamut.
That is.
Whatever the alien is, it should look more different from the three of us than we do from one another. Because it's coming from a completely other kind of thing. So that's why the Blob, for me, which had no spinal column.
Yeah, it has no nothing.
It's got no nothing. It's a blob.
A blob.
It's a blob. And another little known fact, I mean, it's known if you paid attention. The blob was, like you said, was like snot. It was transparent, colorless when it arrived on Earth. After it consumed its first victim, for the rest of the movie, it was red.
That is nasty.
It became the color of the blood.
That's wild.
It's it happened just one scene, and then you don't think about it. I think the blob is just this red thing.
I don't think.
So you couldn't defend against the blob because it would come in under the door.
It would do it. It would come in through anything.
Through the grates of the thing.
Yeah.
It came into a movie theater, terrorized people because that's how it got in.
Should have called it the ooze. That should have been the name of it. The ooze.
For me, that's the most. That representation of an alien has the highest sort of integrity with regard to it not looking like anything here on Earth. Now, that being said, there are two movies, maybe three. Three movies. So start with 2001: A Space Odyssey.
All right.
That had aliens in them. You just never saw them. You saw the manifestation of their intelligence.
Okay.
So Arthur C. Clarke and Carl Sagan was one of the advisors on that film. They said, just don't show aliens at all. You can't imagine.
Right.
But you can put their handiwork. And so that's one that did it. Not only that, in Carl Sagan's novel, Contact, which then became a movie in the late 1990s, because 2001: A Space Odyssey was 1968. So Contact, that also had aliens that you never saw.
Well, that's because, hi, I'm going to take the form of your father.
Oh, yes.
As he was like,
that scene.
I've taken this pleasing form to you, so because there's no way you could actually comprehend what we really look like.
Right. Exactly. So these are, I think, this shows honesty in our ignorance by not even attempting to show them at all.
Okay.
And meanwhile, a very important movie, but for me, showed very little imagination, was Predator. Okay. Predator is this alien drops on Earth and goes human hunting, right? It's like it's what he does, and it's got Arnold in it, and it's got some other muscle men of the 80s in it, and they fight this one alien. Well, how tall is the alien? He's about 6'5". It's not 3 inches tall.
No.
It's not 60 stories tall. It's approximately human sized.
Right.
It's got feet, except they're a little bigger. It's got a head. It's got a mouth. It's got arms. It carries weapons. It's got a belt. It's got stuff. And this is an alien? Come on now. So it really shows an absence of imagination in Hollywood anytime they go down that road.
Okay. Well, now, what do you think of Alien? So that's
okay. The Sigourney Weaver.
So
film.
The actual alien itself, who happens to be my favorite alien, because because he's got a mouth and a mouth
Okay, right. So if a mouth with teeth is scary, then you give them two mouths with teeth.
Exactly. I'm like,
That's
yeah.
gotta be twice as scary. So it opens a mouth, but then there's another mouth, and then another.
No, also too, the fact that it bled acid to me that's just the coolest thing ever.
Okay, but it still like had a mouth with teeth.
Right.
Do you realize most life forms on Earth don't
have teeth. Right. Because
in fact, I think the teeth are only in vertebrates.
Yeah.
Let me think about that.
You got to eat something. You got to chew. You got to chew.
It's not only worms eat things, but they don't have teeth.
Well, they absorb. they have a mouth, but yeah, a lot of things. Whales that don't have teeth that have baleen instead of teeth.
Right. It filters through.
Right.
So I'm just saying, this concept that you're going to make an alien and it has teeth,
because teeth are scary. Like,
I don't have a problem with that. Just don't try to convince me that this is
something.
Could
you imagine if the alien tried to gum you to death?
Super gum.
Come on.
That's funny.
Come on.
If a lion came running after you and it roared and it had no teeth in its mouth.
Exactly.
Man, how you doing?
Right, it's wearing slippers and a robe. Yeah. All right, well, you know what? I got to say, you make a very cogent argument for the blob that I never considered. And, I'm going to say, here's how you've changed my perspective on this. I always thought that the blob was a lack of imagination.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
I always thought of it as, okay, so you guys you couldn't think of a good monster, so you just made it into a blob. But the way you explain it, and I'm wondering if they actually were as thoughtful as you, because if so, then it's brilliant.
Okay. I'm sure they'll take it.
Yeah, if not, they're lucky that you came along.
Well, it was preordained because, in fact, that was my birth year. So the movie and I are the same age.
Okay, right on. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Let's go to Ryan Espinoza from Facebook. And Ryan, a little all over the place, but I'm going to give it to you right now. He says, if the universe is technically finite, how about the multiverse? And the reason why I say a little all over the place is, first of all, is there a multiverse? Because he has made that a fact, which is not necessarily an evidence. So what are your thoughts, first of all, on a multiverse? Now, secondly, after your thoughts on the multiverse, if this universe is indeed finite, would that multiverse also be finite?
That's the question.
Yes. That's I altered his question, but that's
you summarized.
I summarized.
Okay, so the answer is we got to take a break. Come back in the next segment. We'll get the latest on the multiverse. Start talking cosmic queries.
All right.
Cosmic Cauldron Edition. Cosmic Cauldron Edition. We'll be right back. We're back. Star Talk, Cosmic Queries. Chuck Nice.
Yes, sir.
Fully locked and loaded.
Fully locked
All right.
and loaded. So
we last left off on the multiverse. And who's the questioner again?
And the question was Ryan. The questioner was Ryan Espinoza, and he wanted to know if the multiverse was finite. But first of all, we would have to establish: is there a multiverse?
Okay. So first of all, before we get to the multiverse, we don't know if the universe is infinite or finite. We just don't know.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if we can know for sure any more than a ship at sea looks in every direction and it sees the horizon and it doesn't see land in any direction. It's in the middle of its own horizon.
Right.
It cannot know how big the actual ocean is if it only has access to the water within its own horizon. So what it would have to do is keep moving. Okay, it'd have to travel. And it would keep moving and take its horizon with it. And that horizon moves across the water surface. And then eventually they might see land. At that point, they have found the edge of the ocean. The ocean ends. Because more ocean doesn't keep coming in. So if we wanted to explore if the universe had some edge,
Right.
then we're not going to learn it just sitting here in the middle of our own horizon. We'd have to start moving to other places within the universe. And you want to do that fast, otherwise it expands faster than you can get there, and you'll just never know ever. Okay? If the universe is expanding faster than you're traveling, if the ocean is growing faster than the ship is sailing,
Well, yeah. Now you're on an oceanic treadmill.
that's right. Thank you. That's a perfect analogy there. So we simply don't know. So anytime any of I or my colleagues reference the size of the universe or the dimensions, it's basically the observable universe, the universe that's within our horizon. We can give you the size of that and how long we've been at that. Beyond that, we don't know. Now, the multiverse. It turns out the multiverse is on good theoretical grounds. So we didn't just pull that one out of some orifice, right? It's quantum physics mixed with general relativity, two highly successful understandings of the universe. When you shotgun marry them in the early universe, because quantum physics is the physics of the small, and general relativity is the physics of the large. But the early universe, the large was small.
Right.
So if the large was small, then perhaps the quantum influenced the entire universe. So when you have particles popping in and out of existence or doing weird things, maybe that particle is an entire universe unto itself, if the universe is the size of a particle. So you can take that kind of reasoning that comes from that direction, and in doing so, you can conclude that maybe we are not alone, that our universe is not alone in a multiverse, possibly an infinite number of universes to reckon. So, by the way, depending on what level multiverse we're talking about, the universe can just have different configurations of atoms and energy, or even the same configuration. Now, Chuck, you have a goatee in this universe. That means you're the evil Chuck.
Right. Exactly.
There's another universe where there's a clean-shaven Chuck.
Right.
That's the good Chuck.
Yeah. I think he's faking it.
So that's one class of multiverse, but there are other classes of multiverse. I've first seen explicated by a friend and colleague, Max Tegmark, up at MIT. He's written extensively on this. There are other levels of multiverse. Another one where, okay, your the matter and energy, not only that can be different, but the initial conditions are different. So maybe your universe won't expand forever. Maybe it'll recollapse. Then there's another level where the laws of physics are different. All right? This is how deep into the rabbit hole you drop before you hatch out another universe. What control do you have over the laws of physics? In the traditional multiverse that people think about, we are in the same space-time, just different pockets that cannot interact with each other, as is different ships at sea would be. They're on the same ocean, but they don't interact with each other because their horizons are separate and distinct. So that's the traditional multiverse that people think about and talk about and has been represented in science fiction. So just because we might be finite or open or flat doesn't mean others have to be, because their matter and energy could be distributed differently.
There you go. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating stuff. That is really...
By the way, people say, well, if there's an infinite number of universes, then there's you in another universe, therefore you can in principle live forever. But no, that other me, it's not me.
Right.
It ain't me.
Right.
That's not me.
Just as much as you care about him, he cares about you. See, that's the problem.
And I've said we've done this experiment before with copies of each other, and it's called twins.
Right.
Twins are identical copies,
there you go.
and they walk among us.
Right. Came from the same single cell. I mean, the same
single cell.
Right.
If you pinch one twin, the other twin doesn't say ouch.
Right.
So they're not the same person, even if they're molecularly identical. So that's why I'm not thinking that this other person in another universe is going to grant me for eternal life. I don't see that. I don't think it. I don't think it's good evidence or reasoning to argue that way.
Wow. Cool. Well,
yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate the question, man. Here's Michael Scarn from Facebook, And Michael says, the faster you travel, the slower time is for you. How much younger do career pilots stay, being if they fly and travel faster than common people? So if you're constantly spending time at let's call it supersonic speed, is there any negligible time?
You can always calculate how much younger they are relative to their twin on Earth. You can always do that. By the way, we've done this experiment. There is a twin astronaut who went into orbit and stayed there for a year or so, and left the other one on Earth. And we studied. The NASA medical professionals studied any differences in their DNA, exposure to space radiation, and there is this factor because in orbit, you're going much, much faster than a fighter pilot would ever go.
Yeah.
You're going in fact, in orbit, you're going. If you were to travel that through the air, it'd be like Mach 30 or 40. Wow. And fighter pilots are going Mach 2 at most, Mach 3. Right. So if you're really booking it, so you can calculate. You just plug that into an equation, and when you do that, and I did this for it's the twin brothers that went into space. By the way, this is not a special calculation. Anybody with rudimentary knowledge of Einstein's special theory of relativity can calculate this.
Right.
Okay. What I mean by rudimentary is it's like the first equations you learn in Relativity 101.
Okay, yeah. Too bad I didn't take that in school. Relatively 101.
So, and I don't remember. I might have come up with like 100th of a second or something for being at those high speeds for a year relative to his twin. So we don't measure deaths with that time precision. So for me to say he will live 100th second longer than his twin on Earth, that's not a meaningful time difference. So he'd have to be traveling much, much faster than just Mach dozens. He'd have to be traveling a major fraction of the speed of light and do that for a sustained period of time. Then you come back days, years, decades younger than your twin would have aged.
That'd be cool. See.
So fighter pilots, forget about it.
Right.
Forget about it.
Forget it. Okay, so all right, well there you go, Michael. It's 100th of a second. So enjoy that.
I forgot the exact number.
Enjoy that time.
Of a second.
Enjoy that time. All right, this is. Let's keep it simple here because I like this question. Since we're getting into the questions that we don't normally ever get to, I might as well get to those really like weird questions. This is Ralph Suchi, and Ralph from Facebook says, if you were to get a space theme tattoo, what would it be?
Ooh. No, I don't have any tattoos.
Okay.
So I'm just, I'm the generation where the only two kinds of people ever got tattoos, and it was bikers and sailors. Right. That's right. Popeye had a sailor. Had a tattoo.
Right. Yes.
Is there any voice you can't do? So Popeye had I think it was an anchor tattoo.
Right on his forearms. Right.
His bloated forearms. So I thought he had some kind of arm disease or something.
Yeah, probably elephantitis. Yeah.
I know something. Right. So I'm just not a tattoo guy, primarily because there's nothing I have that much confidence
really
that I want to look at eternally until I die. I want to always be able to have a thought that's different from a thought I had before, and therefore you don't lock in a previous thought. You continue to put in new taproots. Now, I said this to someone who had a lot of tattoos. Oh, no. My body is just the record of those thoughts.
Well, that's okay. That's one way to look at it.
And I said, I could write down the record. That's another way I can do it.
I have paper for that.
So if I were to get one, maybe it would be one of these sort of bullet-shaped rockets from the 1950s, with the fins.
Oh, yeah?
How they, just kind of it's classically imagined,
Right.
I should say.
Yeah.
That's not
the
how
comic
they
book
look at
version of a rocket.
a comic book version of a rocket, but from the day, no one would draw it.
Right.
And just because it comes from a time when we had very high hopes and expectations
Yes.
that our energy and investments would continue into space and be sustained in ways that we have not lived up.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be that's how I would think about it.
All right. Actually, kind of a cool tattoo. All right, I'll give you that. I thought you were gonna be like, Saturn or something like that.
Oh no, I can look at pictures of Saturn, which will look better than any tattoo that would ever end up on my skin.
This is true. This is true. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go to. Okay. Keeping with this same theme of the stuff we never ask. Okay. This is Migu31 on Instagram. If you can time travel, what's the one place you'll go and the one person you'll see?
So I assume they mean backwards time travel.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's an old joke about that. All right.
Oh yeah.
So consider the two facts. If backward time travel were possible, wouldn't we have met such a person by now?
If backward time travel were possible, wouldn't we have met such a person by now? What person?
A backwards time travel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they should have come here to us.
They should have shown up.
But the
what?
whole the prime directive of time travel
Go on.
is that you're not
Go on,
allowed.
Captain Kirk.
Yeah, is that you're not allowed to upset the timeline in any way, and you're not allowed to tell anybody you're time traveling.
Oh, that's how they hide among us.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, forgot about that.
Right.
Well, okay. So, one of my favorite was it during the Science March on Washington, shortly after Trump was elected president. There was a science march just in praise of science, and one of the placards said, they started to chant, "What do we want? A time machine. When do we want it? It doesn't matter."
Right. That's it. I like that.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Whenever we get it, we move back to whenever we want.
Exactly. Right.
So, if I could move back in time, I would go back and have a conversation with Isaac Newton.
Okay, so now that we know that,
And and he lived. I have to go back to the late 1600s. The year 1700 would work.
Okay,
He'd
so
already
here-
discovered his laws of optics, gravity, and calculus, and laws of optics are still getting assembled. He discovered them, but he hadn't published it yet. And I'd bring some of our problems.
But
to
see,
him,
no,
if he has some
now,
insights.
okay, so this is fascinating to me right now. All right,
What?
I don't know how much time we got, but I got to jump into this for a second.
What?
So here you are, you're back 1700, talking to Isaac Newton.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know everything that he's already done.
Yes, isn't that interesting?
But
Yes.
he doesn't. You
Yes.
also know things that he would find wondrous.
Yes.
How do you have a conversation? What do you talk about?
When
Because
we come back.
you might end up screwing everything up.
When we come back, details of my conversation with Isaac Newton that I may or may not have already had on Star Talk. We're back. Star Talk, Cosmic Queries. Of course, Chuck is sitting right there.
Yes, sir.
And you're here because you named this one. Because this is a potpourri, but you're not happy with potpourri.
No, we went with the
Right.
Cosmic Cauldron.
Cosmic Cauldron.
Yes.
I was thinking Cosmic Crucible, but that's not
I
right.
like the Crucible. That's even.
No, you burn stuff in
Yeah.
crucible. That's very alchemic.
It is. Yes, exactly. We have the alchemy, the cosmic alchemy. We're putting this stuff in the crucible and burning away the bad and leaving only what we need.
So we left off with the question about who would I meet, or what would I witness if I could go back in time? And definitely, I'm going to meet Isaac Newton. Year 1700 is as good as any in his middle years. And But you pose an interesting point.
Right.
Like there's stuff that I know because I'm trained in physics that he's already discovered.
That's right.
But then there's stuff I know that he hasn't figured out yet.
Right, and he will figure it out.
Okay, so this
now
could
this is everything. You could screw it all up.
just disturb the space-time continuum.
Yes, it reminds me of one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons, which has been on TV for so long.
The Simpsons, okay.
It really does. Homer Simpson somehow turns a toaster into a time machine. And every time he goes back in time and comes back, there's something different because he keeps disturbing the continuum. And
he disrupts the flow of time.
Correct.
Right, okay.
So, and one time, all he did was step on a bug, and then he comes back, and everybody's a lizard person.
I gotta find that episode.
It's very funny. And then he comes back, and everything looks the same, except it's super boring or something like that. And he's like, "Oh, I got to get out of here." And he goes, and right after he leaves, it starts raining donuts.
Okay. So that toaster is actually access to the multiverse.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
what's really
That's
going
what
on
it is,
there.
yeah.
So here's an interesting issue.
Uh-huh.
It's a time travel issue, and it has to do with what are called gin particles. In this particular example, it would be a gin concept. So a gin particle, it's J-I-N, is how you. It is something that was never created nor destroyed. It just exists.
Nice.
Okay, so in the more classic example, let's go to Back to the Future. Okay?
Right.
In Back to the Future, Marty, at the school prom,
Right.
gets a hold of the guitar.
Right.
And then he starts imitating Chuck Berry. Okay? But Marion Berry is the band leader, Chuck Berry's brother. Marion Berry hears this tune and say, "Chuck, here's the tune you've always been trying to figure out what would work." And he puts the phone up to the thing, and he hears Marty. It's John, okay? And so now, if we follow that through, what we are led to believe is that Chuck Berry got his most brilliant song from a white man.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
from Michael J. Fox.
No, but what happens is, so if he does actually get it from Michael J. Fox, and he then influences Michael J. Fox in the future, then this song only exists in this loop. It was never written by anybody.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. That's the only way it could exist. It was never written by anybody.
It was never written.
Right.
Because Marty plays it because he heard it sung by Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry hears it for the first time through his brothers putting the phone out on the thing, and then Chuck Berry includes it in his performance, as well as the
duck walk.
The duck walk.
Yeah.
Right. So in the case with Isaac Newton, it would be interesting if Newton is on some calculation and he's struggling. I say, "Hey, have you thought about? Have you considered?"
Right. Hey, Isaac.
Because
Isaac,
I don't
just carry the two.
carry the two.
Just carry the two, Isaac.
They forgot to carry the
Forgot
two.
to carry the two.
And so there I am helping Isaac, and then of course he's remembered for doing it, but I only know it because I read that he had done it. And so again, that would be something that's closed in a time loop, basically, that never had a beginning or an end. So it's just an interesting little fact about that.
I love that. The gin particle. Nice.
Yeah.
So
in
what
that
would
case,
you ask him?
It's a gin concept. So, for example, in the movie, the lesser seen movie, but it's a slow romantic, not a rom-com, but what do you call them? If it's just a romantic movie.
Romantic movie. Okay.
It's a romantic movie. It was called Somewhere in Time.
A love story. Somewhere in time.
Yeah, it's a love story. It was a love story. And I think I told this at some other occasion.
Yeah, you told me. I know.
I think where an old woman comes up to the main character, who happens to be Christopher Reeve, who played Superman.
Oh, no, we didn't. We never talked about this.
We never talked about this. And she comes up to him. He's a professor, and she gives him a locket and says, "Come to me."
Oh, no, we never talked about this.
And he finds out that she's back in time, like the 1920s or 1930s. And he does research on this and finds out that this woman exists at another time. Right. And he goes to his physics professor and colleague and says, "Is there any way I can go back in time?" So we'll try this and do this. He goes back in time. And he brings this locket with him. And he does meet her. And they do fall in love. And as a gift of his love for her, he gives her this locket.
Well, he didn't love her that much. That was her locket.
He didn't spend a dime
Yes,
on
he
it.
didn't spend a dime. He gave her own locket.
But whose locket is it?
Right.
Because that, in that case, that's a gin particle where the locket was never created or destroyed. And it doesn't exist before it appeared, and it doesn't exist after. It only exists within that time. It's locked in time between when she gave it to him and when he gave it to her.
Interesting.
At
I
an
love
earlier point. Yeah, so that you have to just watch out for that.
Yeah. So now, what do you ask him? What do you say to Newton?
I say, please help. So I got a problem.
You just
He's
ask
a really
him everything.
smart guy. Yeah, the problem is there's a lot we take for granted, not just I, but any of us living in the year 20, in the 21st century. We just take for granted that we understand energy, which was a poorly formulated concept in his day.
So he wouldn't even know what you're talking about.
How'd you get it? I took a car. What's a car?
Right.
Well, it's a horse-drawn carriage without the horse. Well, how did it move? Through chemical energy. Well, what's chemical energy? And he'd be a fast study.
Yeah.
But I have to invest a lot of time catching him up on things that we just live with.
I don't like this. I don't like this. Here's what I
Why?
say. Because he's your
Why?
hero.
Yeah.
Right? He's the guy that you love.
Yeah.
He's got a beautiful mind.
Yeah.
And after you talk to him for an hour, you're going to be like, listen, dumbass.
I told you that already. But wait, how does the horseless carriage move?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Listen,
Listen here, dumbass. Newton, you dumbass. Right, yeah, nah, I don't like this. I don't like it.
Okay, that could upset my the hero worship.
Right.
Anyhow, so that's what I would do.
All right, there
That's
you
all
go.
I'm saying.
Here we go.
All right, what else you got?
Let's go to Austin C Media from Instagram. Says, hello, my name is Austin, and I live in upstate New York. I work in the aerospace industry, and I build giant hyper rockets. My question is based on rocket telemetry. As the Earth rotates due east, as we launch rockets due east and use the Earth's gravity to help it get into orbit, does the amount of gravity assist come from just the overall mass of the Earth and its speed of rotation, or does the mass of our iron core help with the amount of speed of the rotation in relation to the amount of gravity we feel? So,
Okay, it's got nothing to do with any of that.
okay, there you go.
It ain't got nothing to do with any of that.
All right.
It's much.
Austin, we're going to treat you like Isaac Newton right now.
No, that's a rocket scientist overthinking the problem.
Right.
Okay, is it possible to think too much?
Think-
Just rein that in a little bit.
Right.
Okay?
Let that big brain calm down.
Just calm. Just take a cleansing breath.
There you
Okay.
go.
So clearly he knows, and others might not know, that it is our preference, anyone who's launching rockets, to launch east. Okay, because Earth is rotating west to east. So you get
Getting a little assist.
you're getting a little. It's not a gravity assist.
No, it's not a gravity. It's just getting a
It's a
little
pure speed. It's a push.
Right,
a little
push.
speed assist.
a tailwind.
That's a tailwind.
Get a little tailwind for the rocket.
So, and as such, if you want the maximum extra boost, you want to do it where Earth is actually moving the fastest. Obviously, Earth is spinning as one solid object, but at the equator, it does one full turn in the same time it does closer to the pole, but it's got a bigger distance to travel. It's therefore moving faster. You look at the equator, it's going about 1,000 miles an hour. We're here in New York City. We're moving about 800 miles an hour due east. So generally, you want to launch as far south as possible. They have some mobile launch platforms that will pick up your rocket, go to the equator, and then launch it from the equator. It's kind of cool.
Wow, nice.
It's a business. It's a business model. So anyhow, if you do that, then you don't need the fuel necessary to have gapped that extra speed boost that you got. So it's a matter of if you save fuel, now I have more payload capacity for the thing you're paying me to put into orbit. So everything is better. Okay, if you can take less fuel,
Right.
And it's not that much less fuel, but it's enough you can make incremental differences in your profit margins.
Right.
That's all. It's got nothing to do with the core. It's got nothing to do with how strong Earth's gravity is. That extra speed is just this whiplash effect.
Just the rotation itself.
That's all it is. And the speed with which you have to attain so that you can maintain orbit, that depends on Earth's gravity. And for Earth, it's about 5 miles per second. If you go a little less than 5 miles per second, you'll go up and then crash back down. Right? So you want to go fast enough so that your eastern motion, you want to go so fast that as you fall back to Earth, Earth curves away from you. So for every 5 feet, let's say, you fall towards Earth, you move so far downstream that Earth's curved shape has curved 5 feet away from you. So you're constantly falling towards Earth at a speed where Earth is exactly curving away from you. That is the orbital speed, and for Earth, it's 18,000 miles an hour. It comes out to about 5 miles per second.
Wow, there you go. That's so cool. There you have it. Nice.
All right.
Escape philosophy. I've been in the house with my kids for a long time. That sounds really good, man.
Sending them or you? You can make it a game. Who wants to go into orbit today?
It's a dealer's choice as far as I'm concerned. All right. We are running out of time, so let's get to KOB from YouTube.
How can we be running out of time? I'm talking too much. Damn. Okay, go on.
It's okay. Does light ever cease to move? Can a photon be in a state of momentumless relax, or does it continue to move indefinitely? And so I guess he has to be talking about in the vacuum of space, because we know that photons cease to move, when they hit your eye.
Right, then they're not photons anymore.
Right, they're not photons.
They become pockets of energy, electrochemical energy
right
in your head. All right, so photons, we can slow them down. Anytime you put them in a transparent, denser medium, they go slower. So they go slower going from vacuum to air. It goes slower going from air to water. It goes slower going from water to glass. It goes slower going from glass to diamond. Okay. Diamond light travels 40% of its peak speed in a vacuum.
Wow.
Okay, so now there have been some experiments where they created a medium where the light is really, really slow. Like you could practically watch it move from one point to the other. Right, so what they're doing is they're boosting what's called the index of refraction. The higher the index of refraction, the greater the light will bend as it crosses into that medium, and the slower it will move. Okay, that's why diamonds are so useful as rings, because you put facets in it, and the light goes in, it bends so severely that you can trap light enough so that it comes out a completely different place from where the white light went in. So it gives the diamond the appearance of having a certain radiance. Right. If it only gave light in the direction you sent it in, then it's because I have the light. Right. But if light comes here and it goes out there and you see it from that direction, it gives you the impression of something highly radiant. So diamonds have value for that reason, among others. But as jewelry, they have value for that reason. So all I'm saying is, in principle, you can have the index of refraction so high that you can watch the light sort of move, but I don't know that you can just stop it. I don't think so.
So no frozen light?
I don't think so.
Damn, because that would be so cool. Frozen light. I don't mind the molasses light either.
That's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool too.
In fact, there's a laboratory at Caltech that specializes in high-speed photography, and they have some camera that takes 1 trillion frames per second, and then they put light through a medium that slowed it down, and then you can take all these frames per second. You can actually watch the light move through the medium. That's amazing. Right.
Oh,
I don't think you can stop it. In fact, let me say it another way. I don't want to be around if you succeed. I don't know what.
Oh, that's funny.
Time for one quick question. What do you got?
Okay.
Last quick question.
All right. Okay, here you go. This will be very quick. Daniel 220 from YouTube says, if aliens are real, what technology can we suggest that they have? In other words, what technology do you think they would have? Example, like a Dyson sphere. Is there anything that we? First of all, if they can get to us.
Thank you. That's the jig's up.
Right. I if they could get here, because it's not like we can't see what's around us. We know how close stuff is, right?
Here's the thing. I wield things in my back pocket that would have me burned at the stake 20 years ago for sorcery in our own civilization. Okay, if you had the smartphone in like the 1990s, they said, "Oh, wait a minute, let me do these 19 other things." People would look at you, what is that? Who? What?
Yeah.
And that's just us in our own technology in our own time.
That's funny.
Now you want an alien who got here from another planet, from another galaxy, and you want to say, do they have a Dyson sphere? If all you come up with is stuff we've thought of that they might have, that's not creative enough.
Right.
Okay? Because everything they do is going to be more interesting than anything we can even
ever
invent,
think of.
because we're doing stuff today that's more interesting than we even invented.
Right.
You look at the movie 2001. Back then, computers were getting more powerful, so that because that was 1968, imagining the year 2001. So computers were just coming around. You see computers, and they get big and powerful. So in 2001, they'll be really big.
Right. They'll be huge.
They'll be huge.
Right.
And no one is imagining that you'll be carrying computers with you.
Right.
They're not carrying a computer, but they're trying to imagine the future. All I'm saying is, we can barely imagine our own future with the technology sitting in front of us, much less predict what kind of technology the aliens are going to have. But if I had to go there, I'd say, yeah, they got warp drives and they can do what the hell they want.
There you go. That's it.
Because that's what we want. They have warp drives and we want that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I do a joke where I say if you had an iPhone and you went back in time just 300 years, they would have burned you at the stake for witchcraft, unless you were a man, in which case they would have worshipped you as a god.
That's exactly right. Or if you go back to slavery times, wait, black folks aren't supposed to be that smart. You know, kill that one. That's a bad example.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Oh,
So-
damn it.
So anyhow, yeah, we gotta go check.
All right. Okay.
All right, that's another Cosmic Queries. These are fun.
Yeah,
Thanks
these
for
are so
being a
much
part of
fun.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. All right, this is Cosmic Queries, Star Talk. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Chuck Nice. We're all here for you.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Feel free to like and subscribe.